In the region and move to the Gaza crisis, where at least 23 Palestinians were killed on Sunday as Israeli forces opened fire near food aid sites in Gaza, according to hospital officials and witnesses. The victims were reportedly trying to reach aid distribution points amid widespread famine and desperation in the territory. Witnesses described chaotic scenes of indiscriminate gunfire as crowds surged towards humanitarian convoys. Many victims were shot while carrying food or walking with family members. In Khan Yunis, a UN-run school sheltering displaced Palestinians was struck by Israeli fire. Survivors spoke of children killed in their sleep and the daily struggle for food and clean water. Let's listen in to what survivors had to say.
قاعدين ايش نعمل؟ وين نروح؟ وين نلاقي؟ ايش نسوي؟ فهمونا يا الله. عن جد تعبنا كثير مش شوي. كل حياتنا صارت هيك، فيش مستقبلات، فيش مستقبل، فيش احلام، فيش ولا شيء. ما خلوش للاطفال ولا حلم ولا مستقبل.
طحين، فيش اكل، ولا حاجه، يعني عدم، حياتنا عدم، يعني نموت لسه ارحم لنا من هذه الحياه. الموت ارحم لنا، احنا والميتين بالسوا.
The humanitarian toll continues to grow, with multiple funerals held as grieving families demand international help. We're now joined by Ali Mohammed Bushback. He's a Middle East researcher joining us live from Cairo. Ali, thank you very much for joining us. Can you give us a quick snapshot of the past 24 hours or recent events in the Gaza Strip as you can in regards to the humanitarian situation that's going on the ground? We've heard more reports of people being killed while trying to collect aid today as well. What more can you tell us?
Thank you, Thomas. The things is on the ground, the situation is really miserable. Since morning, around more than 70 civilians have been killed, and since past the 24 hour, 119 civilians have been killed during the night. Israel bombardment, it's focused on Khan Yunis and northern part of Gaza, in Jabalia and Beit Hanun, and several of parties in Gaza. But the most Israeli bombardment focused on Khan Yunis, the southern part of Gaza. Around more than 30 civilians have been killed during the collecting the humanitarian aid. While Israel, according to international human rights organization, confirmed around 36 of track have been into Gaza since morning, and all the international communities and the human rights organization consider it as insufficient for the Palestinian and to save the situation from the famine and the starvation in Gaza, especially Thomas, the distribution of this food, it's not just because the Palestinian or the starved people, they looted these tracks during heading to the road to distribute points in Gaza. Thomas, situation is completely miserable while there is no food in market, and I asked several of civilians in Gaza. They said just the only available is tomato in market. There is no other veg on the ground. Especially we are talking about the people, they are suffering from malnutrition and suffering from the starvation. Furthermore, Joshua, the fighting also on the ground, Israel's also deliberately targeting the civilians, and we have witnessed the testimony of the American resumed from the what's called the human rights humanitarian Gaza function, HGF. It's according to testimony, Israeli troops deliberately targeting the civilians, unarmed civilians. Up to now, also, there is a several of protests on Western country, and today we have seen a several of footage from Sydney, from Australia, 100,000 civilians have protested to support Palestinians and to demanding Israel to stop the war in Gaza. More than 1,000 Israeli artists, they are signing in paper to asking the Israeli government to stop the war in Gaza and accept the deal, a comprehensive deal in one time, to release the whole captive in one time, instead of rely on two faces or apartheid or several of parties to release the hostages on the ground.
Yes.
Also, we are talking about several hundred of civilians have been who got injured during the Israelis' open fire toward the civilians, have admitted to hospital, which make it the situation miserable, especially that the hospitals and the medical bodies in Gaza suffering from outrage and shortage of the supplies to treat the civilians who got injured. Joshua, there is also protest in Israel to demanding Israeli government to stop the war and reach to deal with Hamas. Now today, also Emmanuel Macron, he confirmed that stop the war and the ceasefire. It's required to end this round of conflict between Gaza and Israel and release the whole captives, and also from both sides, from Israel and Palestine, Hamas must be demilitarized and should be Hamas leave the power from Gaza and take it other bodies to managing Gaza
Yes.
and organizing Gaza.
Yes, Ali, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. Your insight is always valued. We now move over to South Asia for our next